A stunned silence fell over the crowd as all eyes moved from the ring in the fisherman's hand to the face of the Caliph. Umar Aziratanho took the ring, his fingers closing around the cold, familiar iron. He did not look angry but deeply contemplative, as if holding a long, lost piece of a puzzle. Then his gaze, sharp and all knowing, swept across the sea of faces until it landed on one man. A man trying to become invisible, his headscarf pulled low. Zaid, Umar's voice cut through the tension, not as a roar, but as a calm, resonant statement. It was not a question. It was a being long time. Every head turned as though Zaid froze, the sound of his name shattering the fragile prison of his secret forever. Forced into the open, Zaid stumbled forward and fell to his knees before the Caliph, his body racked with sores he could no longer contain. The story of his carelessness, his pride, and his 7 years of exile poured out of him in a broken torrent. I was not afraid of the punishment, O Amir al Momineen. He wept. I was afraid of the disappointment in your eyes. I failed you. I failed the trust you placed in me. The crowd murmured, their initial shock giving way to pity for the broken man. They expected the Caliph pronounce a judgment to demand restitution for the years of deception, but Umar Anhu listened, his expression one of profound sorrow, not for the lost ring, but for the lost soul before him. When Zaid's confession ended, Umar Anhu stood and walked toward him. Instead of a reprimand, he placed a hand on Zaid's trembling shoulder. Stand up, Zaid, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You have punished yourself far more than I ever could. You carried the weight of the mistake for 7 years, thinking I was king who demanded perfection. I am merely a servant of Allah, tasked with guiding other servants. He held up the ring. This is just a piece of metal. The true test was not this object, but in your heart. By returning today, by facing your fear, you have shown that your heart is always was trustworthy. Umar Anhu then turned to the fisherman. You have returned what was lost. He declared and rewarded him generously for his honesty. Then he turned back to Zaid, his eyes gleaming with a new purpose. The ring was a small test, Zaid. You thought you failed it, but a greater test was your 7 years of regret and your courage to return. This is the test you have passed today. He entrusted his aside to ensure Zaid's family was brought to Medina, and then that was given a position suited to his honesty. We need a man who understands the weight of our trust, over explained to his companions, more than we need men who never stumbled. Zaid, now freed from the shackles of his past, did not just return to a normal life, he became a living lesson in redemption. He served the Muslim community with a humility and dedication that inspired all who knew his story. The lost ring was never worn by Umar Radhiyallahu again. It was kept as a reminder that the true treasures of Ummah are not objects but the repentant hearts of its people. The story of ring concluded not with the verdict of guilt but with a lesson in divine mercy. That Allah's forgiveness is vast, and true leader is not one who punishes mistakes, but one who helps mend the broken. For a long moment, Umar Zainatano said nothing. The only sound in the square was Zaid's ragged breathing and a distant cry of a market vendor. The caliph looked from the ring in his hand to the broken man at his feet, his eyes seeing not just a mistake, but even 7 years of self imposed punishment. The crowd waited, expecting a decree, but Umar was measuring a far greater justice, the justice of the heart that Allah alone sees. Umar Aziratanho then turned his voice, projecting not just to Zaid, but to every soul in that square. People of Medina, he declared, look at this man. He feared my disappointment more than he feared living a lie. This is not the heart of a criminal. That is the heart of believer who lost his way. The greatest trust is not over property, but over the spirit of your brother. If we break that, we break the backbone of his ummah. Finally, Umar Zinatano closed the distance and did the unthinkable. He did not hand Zaid a bag of gold or scroll of ointment. Instead, he reached out and took Zaid's trembling hand. He pressed the ring back into his palm and closed his fingers over it. The trust is restored. Umar said, his voice firm yet gentle, your punishment was your exile. Your reward is now. You return now, stand up. The Ummah does not need a man who is perfect. It needs a man who knows the weight of a trust, and now you know it better than anymore.